Let's talk about guns and more and crime. We're hearing now that there are individuals in the House, including Texas Republican Louis Gohmert, who want legislation to let guns on the House floor. We have also heard proposed legislation to allow guns in general in Washington, D.C., if you are a congressman or member of the House or Senate, because you are particularly at risk. To Louis Gohmert, the answer to violence clearly is more guns. And he says allowing members of Congress to carry them on the House floor is a good idea. Here's a quote. "It'd be a good thing for members of Congress who want to carry a weapon in the district. I know friends that walk home from the Capitol. There's no security for us." He also said the measure would deter people from attacking members. There is some protection in having protection. He said there were times during the healthcare debate that he felt afraid, including when a stranger approached him on the street and started screaming at him. Isn't the obvious thing that the House floor is one of the safer places? Isn't there's full-time security? And the House floor is where members of Congress need to be carrying guns. This is a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't make sense to me. I can understand needing more security when they're in the district, when they're at these public events like Gabrielle Giffords. I mean, I was just thinking of a couple of recent events I've been at where there have been Massachusetts congressmen, and it's true, there is almost no security. They usually show up with sometimes a campaign person, sometimes just a friend. I mean, it was striking to me how little security there was there. But on the floor of the House, you need to have a gun because at any time there could be a shooting. That to me does not seem like it should be the highest priority.
I say let them have guns.
Who? In Washington, D.C., let the members of Congress carry guns, even though guns are not legal or are very difficult to get in Washington, D.C.
I say let the Republicans do whatever they want with guns.
Why? I don't understand that.
Because when things go horribly, horribly wrong, then that'll finally open their eyes.
It won't, though, Lewis. Because you know what? Let me tell you why. Things have gone horribly wrong already with guns. Just look at the Gabrielle Giffords incident.
No, that's not horribly wrong.
20 people, 20 victims, 20 injured, 6 fatalities is not horribly wrong. My point is, anytime that there is a gun crime committed, anytime, it doesn't matter what it is, the response is we need more guns. It's never we need less guns. So your idea that let them have guns and when things go wrong, they'll say, oh, yeah, we're giving the guns back. That is never going to happen. That's a fantasy.
Maybe.
Why do you think, tell me what you envision happening.
I envision chaos in the House. Chaos.
A gunfight? I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Bullets everywhere.
And who's firing? Somebody brings... The question is, how is somebody going to bring a gun in there in the first place who is in the audience? I mean, they have strict security there. Do we not have faith in the security at the Capitol?
You have faith in the security at airports?
It's very different. I have more faith in Capitol Police and the Secret Service than I do in the TSA.
I wouldn't put it past a member of the House to start shooting up the House themselves.
Oh, come on, Lewis. This is absurd.
Is it?
You're saying if there is an incident in defense, that members of the House have guns, they take them out, they start firing because they are taking it into their own hands to defend the Capitol building.
or to kill each other.
This is bogus. I'm assuming you're kidding. You can't possibly be serious on this.
I'm only half kidding. I could see it happening.
I did some research, and if we look at the states with the highest gun death rates, no surprise, they also have some of the highest gun ownership rates. Louisiana has the highest gun death rate, 46% gun ownership rate. Mississippi, 54%. Alaska, 61%. Alabama, 57%.
So more guns equals more gun death rates.
Well, we can say that they are correlated. We can't say that one causes the other.
Right.
Lowest gun death rates, Hawaii. Only 10% of people own guns. They have almost no gun crime. Rhode Island, 13% gun ownership. Very little gun crime. Massachusetts, 13%. Connecticut, 16%. New York, 18%. But wait a second. We have to ask, is it because of gun ownership or not? Because this goes both ways. Republicans will say, listen, there's other factors at play as to why gun ownership would be higher, or rather why gun crimes would be higher or lower, regardless of how many people own guns. And I could make the same argument.
And then you've got illegally owned guns.
Then you have illegally owned guns. But I maintain, Lewis, the argument that if you just put more restrictions on legal guns, it won't affect the number of illegal guns is bogus. Because if there are less legal guns floating around in the system, by definition, it is going to be more difficult to get an illegal gun. I'm not saying it will be impossible. I'm not in some utopian fantasy paradise in my mind here, where if you put more restrictions on the types, number, and process for legal guns, you're going to eliminate illegal guns. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is that if there are less legal guns, if the types of legal guns that are around are more closely controlled, by definition, illegal guns will be at least somewhat more difficult to obtain.
Logically, yeah, I think that makes sense.
But?
I'm assuming that's the case, but you never know.
What I'm saying is if the argument of causality can be made on one side, it can be made on the other. So the argument, either these numbers mean something or they don't. And if we're saying that they don't, the explanations that favor more gun ownership are no more valid than the ones that favor less. Here's an idea that someone sent me. What if we required mandatory gun insurance? Okay? Sidestep the gun control controversy, pass a state law that requires anyone who owns a gun to carry insurance. If you have risk factors, okay, teenagers in the house, a past conviction, I don't know if that precludes you from owning a gun in certain states already, the rates are higher. If a kid sneaks a gun out of the house and gets caught or uses it to commit a crime, the insurance gets canceled. And it's got to be for a meaningful period of time. 10 years maybe, you can't have a gun legally. And if someone steals your gun, you don't report it within 24 hours of you finding out, your insurance is also suspended. Okay? Now, there may be situations where you wouldn't know that the gun was stolen, but that's what it says, within 24 hours of you finding out. If you have a rifle, you just use it for hunting, you get pretty low rates. If you have a Glock, you carry it in an open carry town or state, your rates will be very high because obviously odds are much higher that innocent bystanders might get caught in a shootout, as we saw in Arizona. What do you think? Gun insurance.
I don't know. Any gun owner would be against it.
Probably.
And it would never happen.
It's an added cost.
Never happen.
Why doesn't it make sense? Car insurance, home insurance. I think that this is a legitimate idea.
I'll entertain it as a legitimate idea. I just don't think it will ever happen.